Yo folks, sauna time. Beautiful day. Gonna have a little sweat. End of the year. It's actually a really warm day for almost November. Putting the gardens to bed, trying to cover up. It's hard to see, but there's some new beds here. I'm gonna get these all covered with leaf clippings and wood, maybe wood chips, but usually I do leaves and grass clippings, leaf clippings. Mown leaves and in a hopper and grass clippings, and little zone 1 self-care here. Also some focus on sauna and why they're so important in cold climate world. See if this actually, I don't know if this will actually work, but so let's see how warm it is in here. Okay. It's hard to hold anything metal. Okay, so we're at 170. That's hot. Ow! All right. So may discuss it a little bit. I might just voice over this because I don't know, it's not that cool to talk in the sauna that much or make a video in here. It's pretty sacred space, but this is a Helo stove. I'll share the info in the description. Has a lot of stone in the top. Hard to see, a little dark, but I put a little one piece of kindling in for a little light. Once it gets about 150 in here, it's pretty hard to touch the handle, but before then you kind of can. I know it sounds impossible that it's 150 degrees in here, or it's 170 in here at like belly level, but it's so dry you can be in a place that's that warm and not die. I mean, you can't be in here too long, you will die, but you'd be here 10 to 20 minutes between dips in the pond. I've made a bunch of saunas, and often I've just done it on the cheap. I mean, I made a sauna in college for $300 with hay bale seats. But it's nice to have a real sauna stove and actually invest in that, because you can make steam. You can't really make steam on a janky regular old stove. You can make a lot of heat, but it won't make steam. They're not designed that way. This has, the stone goes in like a foot, is surrounded by the firebox. You want to use special stone too, or they'll blow up very easily, expand on you. Not cool to have rocks blowing up on you. Hot rocks, 500 800 degree rocks when you're in a sauna. So I'll probably do a little voiceover on this video and have to edit a little just so you can get the picture, because I just don't want to sit in here talking to a camera while I'm starting to sweat hard. But I'm going to sweat probably just a few minutes because it's really hot in here. And normally it takes like an hour to heat up when it's 40, 30, 20, 10 degrees out Fahrenheit. It's like 60 degrees out right now. It's a really warm day for late October. So it's heated up really quick, and it's also been going for like 2 hours. So yeah, I'll see you in the pond. All right. That is a warm one. Okay. Pond time. Pro tip, drink a little water. Good for your biome. I mean, not if it's depending on the pond, but in this pond, drinking some water Good idea. For me, anyway. Wow, it's so warm out. Beautiful. I can just hang out outside. Normally, you want to wear some flip-flops. You know, the feet get real cold. But this is a little microclimate zone, workout session, workout space, and yeah. Gorgeous, breezy, warm day. Extra bonus when you can get a bunch of sun. I'm amazed, folks, how little sun people seek, except when they're on vacation. But your average person seems to me to have completely forgotten how much they need the frickin' star. Like our local star, our sun, kind of essential, just a little bit. I was buying steel the other week. Gorgeous day. It hadn't been sunny much in September. It was middle day, lunch break. These guys are in this warehouse with no windows, toxic air. Right when I get there, they get on lunch break. And I'm thinking, well, they'll pull their seat, you know, into the sun. Huge, giant door opens to the south. Sun streaming in. They had the sun streaming in when a huge truck came to pick up steel. And I was like, oh, that's nice. That's a nice relief for these guys. They closed the door and just sat inside during their lunch break. And, you know, they didn't look too good. They don't get any sun 5 days a week, basically. And we're in a cold climate, northern climate. It's as important as any food. I mean, you'll probably die sooner of not eating than lack of sun, but you'll die of lack of sun pretty quickly too, and live really badly until that happens. Yeah. So it's cool. There's a honeybee wanting to checking out the rock a lot. I wonder if there's like minerals that she's after. So the sauna is a key way of surviving winter in this climate. I got into it, well, I think I was exposed to it in high school because I had a friend who was an exchange student from Sweden. His name is Ludwig Thor. No joke. From Sweden. Not even a cold part of Sweden. And a lot of Sweden's not as cold as here, actually. Actually, very little of Sweden is as cold as northern New England, even though it's so far north because of the Gulf Stream. And he couldn't believe no one had saunas. And he's like, well, okay, it's getting cold. You know, it's just as cold here as at home, and it's just as cloudy, if not cloudier. Where's days are a little shorter in Sweden, but he's like, where's the sauna? You know, where are we gonna go sweat? And we're like, sauna? That's like the sketchy thing at the YMCA, you know, like we don't sauna, bro. And he's like, dude, you guys are just suffering. And we're like, yeah, I don't know, no one's saunas. And he's just like, saunas are like, you guys have swimming pools. Like if you don't have one, you know someone has a swimming pool. In the suburbs, I'm speaking about my suburban existence growing up. We didn't have a swimming pool, but one friend did. So they're that common in Scandinavia, in Finland even more common. And it's they've been winter people for many thousands of years, and they know how to adapt to that. And we're just new here, at least those of European descent. Those not of European descent had sweat lodges and still do where they're around. And so it's a key winter survival strategy, and highly recommended. If you don't have a sauna, and you live in a cold climate, what are you doing is really the question. They're not that hard to build. I mean, you can build one in college for $300. Scrap wood stove and a junk pile, scrap boards, hay bale seats. You know, this one I have here, about $2,000, and half of that was the wood stove. You don't need a sauna stove, but it makes steam, as I mentioned. The regular wood stove, which I've put in saunas, don't make steam. And steam's nice. It's not essential, and they also crank heat. Sauna stoves are very, very high. You need a lot of heat, even though it's a small room. A lot of people think you don't need a big stove. Well, if you want to get it to 150 degrees, so that's a huge delta T between that and outside. So you do need a lot of heat, even though it's a small space. You do need a huge BTU output, like 60,000 BTUs or more. This is a big sauna because our permaculture course utilizes it. It's an ugly sauna. I have a nicer one on the other site that we manage, but this we built in 4 days with pine boards I had, and you know, I dragged it out here on logs. It's just nothing fancy, and I don't like how it looks that much, but whatever, I don't really care. It's super functional. You can hang from here. It's a healthcare facility, so you want to be able to do some inversions, hang upside down, or at least hang and stretch your back. I'll prop this open, and a few things, like, so this is super simple. One big seat, one small seat. This is designed to have a lot of people in at times, although usually it's just my family and I. There's that sauna stove I mentioned. So I had the door slightly open, and it's still 160 degrees right here. And so my favorite thing is to be, let me see if I can get this camera working in this light. You want a stove, in my mind, that is wide enough to have your legs out. You don't want to be sitting. Sitting sucks in general. We all sit too much, most of us. And so you don't want to sit in a sauna. You want to lie down. You want to have your feet up. Your feet we're adapted to have our feet be hotter than our head, not the other way around. In the savannah, the ground is way over 100 degrees a lot of times. You don't want your head over 100 degrees. And the stratification of heat in a sauna is huge. So what I like to do in a sauna, I'm usually on my back, legs up, just like this. And this is pretty much how I hang in here. And this is my back therapy. I once had my back go out. Went into spasm. I couldn't get out of the bed. I couldn't get out of bed to go to the bathroom. Like, I was messed up. I had to go to this guy who's a chiropractor of sorts, and he's amazing. He totally fixed my back. But then I went to a yoga teacher that my wife knew, who is very good with alignment, and she said to just lie down 90 degree, put your legs up on the wall. I can't show you this whole situation because it's not cool to have clothes on in a sauna, so I don't. And this is family channel here, so I don't need to share all that. But basically, I'm just 90 degrees, legs up, back as 90 as possible. 90 AF, pretty much the goal. And I'll hold my arms up. I'm not doing the whole thing because I'm holding this embarrassing selfie stick, but it does work to share with you guys. And I do this. I'll sometimes, do some exercises like mini crunches, but I'll do this. I do this in the shower too every day. It helps when you have wood hot water because it's a little more of a guilt-free, pleasure-free hot water. But that is crucial for my back. Like, every day you have a spa opportunity. Not everyone, but if you take a hot shower, you do. If you can take a few moments to even breathe fully, you do. I know that doesn't apply to everyone, but really we have the opportunity to just kind of not check out, but check in to ourselves. Zone 0. And I'm not saying I'm good at this, by the way. This is a note to self. And keep our vitality as high as possible, or regenerate it as needed. Sauna is a key healthcare facility for that. One of my primary care providers, for sure. And it's really, you're building a shed. It's not hard. It's a great carpentry project, even with kids. This is probably about 8 to 9 by 7. That's big for a sauna. You don't need it that big. You don't want it very tall because the heat goes way up. So I would not make it much higher, and no higher than you can reach, and probably less than that, like 6 inches higher than your head, just so it doesn't feel claustrophobic. This could be lower. This has a an angled, I have snow and I just wanted a simple roof, so I angled it. But it holds all the snow, so just build it to hold the snow and have like almost a flat roof. You don't want a true flat roof, but low angle. The back could be lower than whoever's standing in here because you're not going to walk all the way to the back. Oh, one key thing is stainless steel. You will end up replacing the stovepipe all the time. So just buy stainless steel right off the bat. It's like 6 times more expensive maybe at the beginning, but you'll replace it 6 times in 15 years. And it's just safer. You got to be real careful about fire, obviously, in the back. This has rammed sawdust in the back wall. And it has Roxel bats in the walls, in the other walls, and the roof. Mineral wool, basically. Rock wool insulation. And that works great. And it's just 4-inch, typical stud walls. I don't insulate the floor. The floor is a bit ugly because guess what happens? It cracks, right? Even if you put it in real dry, it's glued together. So that's a tricky piece of the carpentry. I can expand on that if people want, but I think you basically want to create a floating floor that's glued together, that's tongue and groove. The ideal interior paneling is T&G, tongue and groove, white cedar. Red cedar is a problematic product, even though it's awesome. It usually comes from really terrible logging operations that are very unsustainable and often old, what's left of the old growth, which isn't much. So I used clear white pine. We had it at a local lumber yard. It works, but it does have some sap. When this sap drips on you, I haven't really had it happen in this sauna, but I can tell you it's not cool. And you can't touch any sap. You don't want to touch any sap in here. You can't also touch any metal. So you have to hide all the screw heads, sink them, or screw, like the bench is secured from below. You can't touch metal in here, it'll burn you. So the handle is wood. Hard to see, but a buddy of mine made this. Turned it on a lathe, and it's just really cool door. And you can't have any metal exposed. So get back into my position here. My back therapy. I'm starting to sweat again, even though the door's open. So I'll probably close it and crank one more sweat and jump in the pond once more. We're going all winter. It's a pain to cut the hole in the ice, trying to rig up a spring to it, because I have water above here to keep it open. It's a little tricky. If anyone knows how the Swedes and the Finns, especially, and the Russians, keep their ice holes open without having to dig them every time, or cut them with a saw. Buck saw works good, but it's a pain to do each time. Let me know. I tried foam board insulation sitting in there. Bad idea. Ice is like glue when it sticks to when it freezes up against something. It's like strong glue, so you end up with like a lot of broken foam board. Tried that a few different ways actually, and didn't work out. That's the long skinny of creating a sauna. Don't insulate the floor because it gets wet. You'll rot it. Don't use foam. Don't use anything toxic. It's taboo to talk about work. It's probably taboo to do this. Taboo to talk politics or about anyone else, according to Scandinavians I've talked to. Makes sense. It's sacred space. It's really taboo to talk about negative anything. It's like a Sabbath space. And it's nice to treat it that way. We don't sauna a ton. I mean, I'll sauna once a week sometimes, max. I had a friend here who's Finnish, who was living on the farm for a while. He wanted to sauna basically every day. I'm like, dude, it's a bit much. Even in the summer. I don't have an interest in sauning in the summer. I sweat. My gnats off working, so I don't need to sauna. And I'm swimming all the time, so I don't need that like healthcare facility, like alignment body work that sauna gives me, sauna gives me. But the fins are super hardcore. We sauna, especially, I call this sauna season, like stick season, November, mud season, April, winter too, but it's a bit harsh when it's super cold. When it's below 10, I don't tend to sauna, and when it's above 50, like this is the warmest day I ever will sauna on. It just happens to be really warm, but I kind of was wanting to because it was rainy this morning. Rainy, cold, 40-degree days. Like if you live in the British Isles, like you should have sauna. Scandinavia, just basically cold, cloudy, cool, cloudy. Pacific Northwest, that's a sauna climate. Should be saunas everywhere. There will be if people are there in a long time. Just so good to sweat in a season that you would not sweat. I just feel beads of sweat running down my legs right now. It's awesome. It's such a route of elimination that we don't often think of. So think about detox, right? You have sweating, you have removing solids and liquids from your system, spitting, very minor route of elimination. Communication might be considered a route of elimination, but in naturopathic medicine, which is a really key way of viewing health, offers a lot to complement Western and other approaches. Routes of elimination are such a focus. How do we get rid of things that don't benefit us? And sweating is massive from that perspective, and does do a ton of detox, especially when coupled with like clean eating and good fiber, most likely lots of water. I need to drink more actually in general, but today being what's on my mind. So I'm gonna close the door and have another round here, but access a sauna if you don't, and build one if you can. Highly recommend it if you live in a cold climate. It's like life before sauna, life after. Oh man. Whew. Stretching room. That's another key thing about sauna. Be able to stretch really, really deeply. All right, last round. Now the pond is honestly half of the value, I think, or more than half. If you can't make a pond, make a cold plunge out of something. Buckets work, but it's not quite as good. The hydrotherapy part of this is, honestly, if I could only do one, I would just do the pond part, but they're both perfect in combo. Pretty hardcore to get in a pond when the pond right now is, the water's probably like 42, 45, pretty much groundwater temp right now. I wouldn't choose just to get in the pond right now. Without sweating. So, good luck, guys. Hope you're doing well on this swing season. Beautiful time of year. Trying to get these carrots to overwinter. I definitely have to spread some mulch over them. But they're still going. Hopefully I don't have a lot of wireworm in them. If you're on my Instagram, you see my wireworm challenges with my other carrots. It's larch season. MFers. Decorative larch season.